Well, the Old 300 is a term used for the original 297 families brought to Texas by impresario Stephen Fuller Austin, establishing Austin's colony. So we're going to talk about them and how the settlement became possible. To do this, we need to start with William Moses Austin back in 1761, when he was born in Connecticut. Moses began a dry goods business in Middletown, Connecticut at the age of 21. He then moved to Philadelphia to join his brother and married Mary Brown. They had 5 children, of which only 3 survived to adulthood. Moses moved to Richmond, Virginia and established Moses Austin and Company, where he was able to secure a contract to roof the new Virginia Capitol in lead. In his effort to finance his lead enterprise, he visited the Spanish Upper Louisiana. At Mina Breton in modern-day Potosi, Missouri, he established the first Anglo-American settlement west of the Mississippi. His smelting process gave him control of the lead industry, resulting in this period of the lead industry being called the Moses Austin period. Moses and Mary built Durham Hall, named for his birthplace. He then attempted to establish a bank west of the Mississippi River. The bank failed in 1819 and plunged Moses into debt. Then he moved to Herculaneum, a town he established in 1808, and returned there to conduct some merchandising business. Meanwhile, John Adams and Louis Dionis established the Adams-Onis Treaty on February 22, 1819, that fixed the western boundary of the Louisiana Purchase beginning at the mouth of the Sabine River along the 32nd parallel south and west bank, then directly north to the Red River, following it westward to 100 longitude, then north to the Arkansas River, then 42 degrees latitude north to the South Sea. The treaty, in short, renounced the U.S. claim to Texas. Moses Austin, always the entrepreneur, traveled to San Antonio, arriving there on December 23, 1820, to request permission to bring colonists to Texas. Governor Antonio Maria Martinez turned him away. Then a chance reunion with Baron de Bastrop, 19 years after briefly meeting him in New Orleans, turned the tide of history. Bastrop listened to Austin's enthusiasm in his colonization plan. He took the plan to Governor Martinez, who finally endorsed the plan and forwarded it to higher authority on December 26, 1820. Unfortunately, Moses contracted pneumonia on his way back to Missouri. He dedicated all of his energy on his Texas venture instead of caring for his own health. 2 months later, he passed away, but not before a deathbed request to have Mary write to son Stephen to come to fulfill his dream of colonizing Texas. Not as enthusiastic as his father, Stephen arranged to obtain a loan to fund the enterprise from Joseph Hawkins. Stephen traveled to San Antonio, and Governor Martinez recognized him as his father's successor. He was permitted to explore the coastal plain between San Antonio and Brazos rivers to select the site for the proposed colony. His plan was to provide settlers with 640 acres per head of family, 320 acres to the wife, 160 acres per child, and 80 acres per slave. He thought he could collect 12.5 cents per acre as compensation. The Mexican government was not willing to administer the colony, so Austin had to be responsible for the good conduct of the settlers. In 1821, Austin was informed that the provisional government in Mexico preferred to regulate colonization by general immigration law. He traveled to Mexico City and was able to get Augustin de Iturbide to complete a law to allow families 4,605 acres. By the summer of 1824, Stephen had found and moved the Old 300 to Texas. Acting as impresario, Austin worked with Land Commissioner Baron de Bastrop, issuing 272 titles. It wasn't until 1827 that the remaining titles were issued by the new commissioner, Gaspar Flores de Abrego. Farming families received 177 acres, and each ranching family received 4,428 acres. Most of the settlers came from Louisiana, while other families came from Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Missouri. Nearly all were of British descent. They settled in the southeastern region of Texas between the Colorado and Brazos River basins, south to the Gulf of Mexico. San Felipe de Austin was established on the east bank of the Brazos River and formed the nucleus of the colony. Most settlers came to Texas with substantial means. 69 of the families had slaves. Successful guarantees survived establishing plantations along the rich coastal river bottoms. Stephen Austin maintained civil and military authority over his colonists until 1828, when he allowed them to elect militia officers and local justice of the peace. He drew up forms in civil and criminal code. As lieutenant colonel of the militia, he planned and led campaigns against local native Indians. Descendants of the Old 300 is an organization that held its first meeting in June of 1987. The purpose of the organization is to inspire current and future generations to preserve the memories of the spirit, courage, and character of the men and women who came to Texas as part of Stephen F. Austin's first colony.